All right, hi guys, it's Walt from Vidfuse, and this is a very special interview, and I use the word interview lightly. We had the unbelievable pleasure of interviewing Evan Carmichael, who's a YouTube superstar. You can see his page up here behind me. We see here, it's probably too small for you to see, but 1.4 million subscribers. His highest video views is 5.2 million views on a single video. He followed that up with a 4.5 million views and 4.3 million views, and that is a single video. So we did the interview with Evan, and honestly, from my heart, it's one of the best interviews I've ever had the pleasure of doing. I was traveling at the time, and it wasn't until after the interview finished that we realized that the recording hadn't worked. And so Skype, which we were doing the recording on, the recording software with Skype had failed, and we did not have a record of the interview. So I immediately sat down and wrote the notes from the interview. In the whole lead up to the interview with Evan, I got a note from his VA saying, please make sure to record because Evan won't be recording. So we did heaps of tests, and it still failed. So there were some massive takeaways from the interview with Evan, and I just wanted to go through those because it's really worth getting the information, even though we don't have the actual interview. I've got the notes. So as we said, we started with Evan talking about his channel, 1.4 million subscribers. That's an amazing number in itself. 5.2 million views on his highest video. And then the oldest video. So I asked Evan, when did he start? It was 9 years ago, was his oldest video. Now, Evan's niche is in the personal development or professional development space, and he has a very unique style. What he's doing is doing either tribute videos or interviews with some of the best performance people in the world. So he's done interviews with people like Elon Musk, he's worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's worked with all of the big names that you can possibly think of, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett. All of these guys are part of Evan's channel. And one of the things that you can see on Evan's channel, and I really suggest you come and check it out, there's a lot of branding, and we talked about that in the interview, and new videos daily. I said to Evan, that's a big commitment to make, new videos daily. And actually, when you look at it, when I actually did the interview, his most recent video was only 1 hour old and already had 3,500 views. But then you follow that up. There was a video 8 hours before that. You follow that up again and say 13 hours before that, and 1 day ago, already up to 10,000 views on the video that was a day ago. Amazing quantity of content that's coming through. So let's start with some of the takeaways, talking about that consistency of content. So one of the things that Evan said was the consistency of delivering really helps YouTube sending traffic to Evan's channel. So what does that mean? It means that if you get a consistent pattern of material being developed, YouTube and the algorithm that drives the free traffic that's coming from YouTube recognizes the consistency, recognizes the lengths of the video, and sends you more traffic, which is huge. We talked about optimization a little bit. I'll go into that in a second. But the consistency of the videos. So again, I'm trying to echo Evan's voice, and Evan, if you get a chance to watch this, thank you so much for the time again. But Evan talked about the fact that he loves what he does, and he would love to be doing 10 times more content. But of course, he didn't start off that way, and so he started off with his first video was a tribute, a case study, an autobiography, or biography, of Walt Disney's story. That was 9 years ago. And because Evan was passionate about performing better, he wanted to study the people who have done the best in the world. He started with Walt Disney and then started doing more and more content. But talking about consistency, it wasn't always a video a day. And in fact, he's built up to that. So we started when it was just him. He started on his own, and he was doing a video every now and again. And as he got more developed, his early videos weren't branded. He wasn't building his own image. And that's one of the things he talked about was when you're starting to do this, really start with the brand that you're trying to create in mind from the very first time that you stand in front of the camera, or the very first time you do a video. So start with the branding. As he got the branding and the kind of the idea more centered about what he was doing, he started doing more consistent content. He went up to a couple of times a month, then he went to once a week. Once he had done about 100 videos, he was still on his own. And it was about that time that he brought in an editor. So somebody that was a freelancer, someone to do the editing for him, and that allowed him to literally triple his content overnight. And again, now he's doing a video a day, and across multiple different delivery methods. So if you look at Evan's channel, he has different series. So he's got the 10 rules series, like the 10 rules from Steve Jobs' success, the 10 rules from Warren Buffett, but then he also has 7 reasons why, and he also has the interviews themselves. So different series of videos, and he releases the content in those different series so he can be working on them. I asked him, does he do all of the video work himself? And he said nowadays, with the people that he has and the income that he's been able to generate, he has some of his team doing the more research videos. So the ones where you're getting snippets of other people talking and bringing them together. His team can do that. He's still doing the one-on-one interviews. He said to me, you don't need any expensive equipment to do these interviews. He was still doing the interview with me on a Logitech webcam, and the sound quality, video quality was awesome. These days, of course, you can just use your mobile phone like this. I'm filming this on an iPhone on the front-facing camera, so I can see the screen as well. So that's not even the highest pixel camera, but you don't need expensive equipment. Rightio. So Evan interviewing these amazing people and doing these tribute videos to some of the best performances in the world. He said he'd love to be putting up 10 times more content. And then he said, when he talked about Google sending more traffic based on the consistency, I asked him about the way or the time that he spends in optimizing his videos to get the maximum amount of traffic and the maximum amount of views. And he said, importantly, great content is first. Great content is first. You simply can game all of the descriptions and tags and all of that kind of stuff. You can SEO optimize your videos, but if the content's terrible, you're not going to have growth, and growth comes only from great content. The next thing he said was optimizing the thumbnails is important. And if we look at the thumbnails of the video, if you've got 20 videos on a page, the one that has the professional looking thumbnail is the one that pops off the page and more often than not will get clicks. As you're looking at a YouTube channel, you've got all of this video content, and a lot of the time, initially, your content will show up in the suggested videos on the right-hand column. And if your thumbnail pops, you'll get the click, you'll get the view, and you can build that into subscribers. So optimizing the thumbnails, the thumbnail images, was the thing that Evan talked about. And again, I suggest you go to his channel and just look at the standard of the thumbnails. He's got a very specific look about the thumbnails, and that helps his videos to be recognized and helps them get more native traffic. So after the thumbnails, optimizing the titles and the descriptions and the length of the video, making sure that you're consistent in that length. Evan's videos range between about 10 minutes up to about 25, with an average in the teens. Now, again, different people have got different styles of video, but that's just what Evan's consistently known for. So anywhere from 10 minutes on a short video up to 30 minutes, but around the 15 to 17 minute mark for most of the videos. Now, this is a really interesting point. During the optimization, and this is probably one of the biggest 2 takeaways from this interview. So grab your pen and listen up. This was biggest takeaway number 1. Talking about optimizing and getting the traffic from YouTube, Evan gave away an absolute gem, and it was this. You can use Google's own tool to find out what content and what you need to be talking about that's going to generate the most traffic. Let me see if I can explain. So Evan talks about using the Google AdWords tool, and that's free. You can go to, just type in Google AdWords tool, but you can go to adwords.google.com. And let's say, for example, that your niche is in skateboarding, or it's in fishing, or it's in cooking or baking, or whatever it might be. If you wanted to talk about a particular topic, so let's say we're talking about, baking, for example, and you are going to make a sponge cake. If you go to the Google AdWords tool and you type in make a sponge cake, you're going to get the Google suggestion that shows you the highest traffic searches for that particular term. Now, take the top 2 or 3 and make your video content revolve around that area. So you wanted to talk about that topic, and we've chosen make a sponge cake, but whatever it is for you that you're talking about, go to the Google AdWords tool, type that in, and get the suggestions of what Google's already seeing as the highest search requests. Why? Because then you can structure the content around that. Now, I'm not talking about making it fake. In other words, dropping the keyword 100 times in the first 2 sentences and, every second word in the description is that keyword. No, that's fake. I'm talking about structuring the topic you are already going to talk about to align with what Google is already showing you is getting the most searches and the most traffic. That's a massive takeaway because there's millions of hours of video going up onto YouTube every single minute. And if you've got the advantage over the other 99%, then you're going to get the bigger chunk of views, right? So use Google's own tool to go and research how you should structure your video. So talk about, one of the first things Chris Bloor talks about in his YouTube series is say the words at the start of the video, this video is about keyword. So in my example, it would be, this video is about how to bake a sponge cake, because Google's own subtitle engine will pick up your wording and be able to optimize for that as well. But use Google's AdWords tool. That was one of Evan's biggest tips. Okay, so talking about monetizing, and we're getting to the second biggest tip, which is one of the massive takeaways for me as well. Monetizing. Now, Evan said one of the most important things to do is to make sure you own the list. Now, owning the list is something that I've been aware of for a long time, but thinking about it from a YouTube and a list point of view. Evan, as I mentioned, has 1.4 million subscribers as of the time of this recording, probably more by the time you're watching it. So every time Evan uploads a video, 1.4 million people get that email from Google to say that there's a new video. Amazing kind of reach. But then being able to continually reach those people, you need to be able to have a different way of connecting with them. And building a tribe is the way to start. But Evan talked about owning the list by simply making sure that they've got a way to opt in with you. So you can see, for example, subscribe to the Daily Belief. And Evan talks about self-belief. Believe is his whole thing, that you can do it, that the world needs you to be able to do it. But there's other ways that you can subscribe to Evan as well. And as you're watching some of Evan's videos, he offers free downloads, free courses, free information. And you go to a site, you put your email address in, and you're literally building your list, owning the list. Now, give them something that they can opt into. He made a comment there was, be the best in the niche at what you do. Okay, so for example, if you're making coffee, riding a skateboard, watching bugs fight, as we talk about on the sales page with Vidfuse, whatever it is that you do, be the best at it. Now, you might not ever be the next Evan Carmichael, but you can be the best you that you can be. And so make sure that when you're delivering that content, again, you're doing the best that you can. Okay, this is the second biggest takeaway for me. And this is the one that I've talked a lot about. So we're talking about monetization, and one of YouTube's rules for people that are working with YouTube is that they're not allowed to disclose how much they earn, which is fair enough. It gets their terms and they can get their accounts shut down. But really, really interesting, and I want to see if I can give you this message from the best of my ability. So Evan Carmichael has built a tribe of followers who are all interested in getting better at what they do. Typically, these are entrepreneurs, these are self-starters, these are go-getters. These are people that really want to succeed. They follow Evan because Evan's talking about setting goals and talking about achieving more out of your life. He's interviewing people who are at the top of their game with that same message, belief in yourself, belief that you can do it, and getting out there. So this is the kind of following that Evan has built with his videos, okay? Now, here's where the amazing fact comes. He's got over 1.4 million subscribers. Seeing that, a Fortune 500 company, which is Sage in the UK, approached Evan and has done a contract with him, paying him, Fortune 500, paying him for a 5-minute spot on his show once a week. Now that is amazing. What it shows to me is that influencer marketing is the single best form of making money that you can possibly ever wish for. If you're making the content, and all of our interviews have been about creating your channel and how to do it and the type of content to create and all of the kind of things that we've talked about in all of the interviews, with the sole purpose of building your following. Doing that then flows through to the money coming to you. when a Fortune 500 company approaches you, because you've got the viewers, you've got the target audience that they are trying to reach, they're throwing money at you for product placements, for interviews, for endorsements, for advertising, in ways that you can't possibly imagine. And this kind of money used to flow to the TV networks. But nowadays, because people are much more decisive in the choices of the content that they watch, they will be watching the people who are talking their language. If they want to listen to fishing, they watch YouTube channels about fishing, about motorbikes, about skateboarding, about gardening, about whatever it might be. When you build the following into that niche, the advertisers flock to you because you have the eyeballs that they are trying to reach. When Evan put together a contract with a Fortune 500 company, because he had the viewers, that was a massive takeaway for me. As a side note, I asked Evan, because I'm very much into the personal development, professional development, goal setting, etc. And I asked Evan, just as a side note, I said, getting away from the YouTube channel, how has the ability to interview these superstars affected you? And he said it was an interesting question. And he used that example of the Sage contract. He said when he set up this contract, his father, who's a very humble man, had said to him, how do you feel about being, sharing a room with the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and being treated as an equal? And Evan said the fact that he's been able to interview all these great people and create this belief and this mindset in himself, his father's question was very apt, because he said, you know what? I felt like it was the right thing. I was there and I deserved to be there. So tapping into that personal development and that professional development, getting yourself better and better all the time, has helped Evan put himself into the stage and into the level playing field of a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So, a few other notes from Evan's interview, and again, it was one of the best. Please make sure you go to Evan Carmichael's channel, check him out, look at the content he's producing, look at the consistency, and look at all the different things that we've talked about from these notes. I asked Evan, of course, as we do in all of our interviews, how does he deal with comments? How does he deal with haters? All right. And how does he deal with the pure volume of comments that are coming through? Like some of our other interviewees, Evan said when he started, of course, it was him responding. So he was able to interact and respond. But one of the things he said was respond to every comment. Respond to every comment. That's what you're there for. I've seen, and I'm sure you have too, where Hollywood superstars get so big that they, no cameras, no interviews, I don't want to talk to people, and forgetting the fact that it's the fans and the people watching that make them famous as they are. So Evan's note that to respond to every comment is apt. Of course, now he's getting 20, 30,000 comments every time a new video goes up. Impossible for him to do that personally, although he still does quite a lot. But now he has people in his team that are doing that. So you can get to there as well once you reach the level. One of the things that was interesting was how Evan deals with haters. And he deals with haters personally. So none of his team will respond to the haters' comments. And he deals with them with empathy. So he said, actually responding to that person, because what he talks about on his channel is about being a better person, he actually uses that as a proving ground so his viewers see him responding to those haters. I'll just turn that channel back on as well. So his channel, his viewers see him responding in kind, so that they know he walks the talk. But he responds to the haters with empathy and understanding and looking to be a better person. He said you can't always turn them around, but it's not for that. It's from his position to be able to be seen to be helping other people. He said the only exception to that is racism, bigotry, hatred. Not necessarily towards him, because he deals with that personally, but towards a guest. If he's interviewing a guest and somebody's commentary is directed or targeted towards that guest in a hatred way, he deletes that straight away, bans the person, because the guest didn't sign up for that. They were his words. So he deals with all the comments personally, which was interesting. And then two more tips that we had from Evan, and I said to him, what were the tips that he had for anybody looking to create their own content and create their own YouTube following? This was interesting. He said, you're going to suck the first 100 times you do it. You're going to be terrible the first 100 times you do it. So knowing that, get those 100 out of the way. You have to Get it out of the way. I've talked about in interviews before that it doesn't need to be you on camera, and a lot of people are camera shy. I understand that completely, but a lot of the channels that we see don't ever feature a person. If you look at the making slime, you know, with a camera over the top of the slime as it's being mixed, or cooking, they're literally stirring, or sketch artists, or interviews where you never see the face of the person, you see the face of the interviewee. Or like Evan does with some of his tribute videos, he talks about using other people's credibility. If you're not the best fisherman, motorbike rider, baker, flower grower, whatever niche that you're in, if you're not the best in that niche, what you can do is interview the best in that niche. And that alone gives the credibility of the best to your own videos. That was an amazing point as well. So you're going to suck the first 100 times, so get them out of the way. Robert Kiyosaki said in Rich Dad Poor Dad, you're going to go broke in your first 3 businesses. So you may as well get those first 2 out of the way, or get those first 3 out of the way, so that your 4th one is on the way. You just have to do it. There's no shortcut. So you're going to suck, get it done, and understand that it's an investment in time. So using other people's credibility, again, be the best in the niche. It doesn't have to be you. It can be the fact that you can tap into the people that are the best in their niche. And the last comment from Evan was that you deserve to be here. And again, that comes straight from his message of belief. Belief in yourself, you can do it. If he can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it that can stand up. So again, my apologies that we had a tech failure, but the notes from Evan are absolute gold. I hope you got those big takeaways there with the Google AdWords and the Fortune 500, building the tribe that advertising money will chase you. And do me a favor and head over to Evan's channel and thank him for being part of the Vidfuse team and Vidfuse interview series. And hopefully that's been a helpful grouping for you. So Evan Carmichael, superstar, YouTube subscriber. Thanks from Vidfuse, and I hope you've got a fair bit out of the notes. Cheers.